Good to see you, Richard. Glad to be on. Hope we can bring some interesting things for your listeners.
Yeah, we're going to play a couple of remote viewing sessions in full and have you comment on them. Before we get to that, for people that aren't familiar with C60, what is C60 oil? What does it do? Give us the brief.
Okay, well, C60 is a molecule of 60 carbon atoms, and it's shaped like a little soccer ball, 1 nanometer in size. And what it is, it's an ultra antioxidant. And the way it's delivered, it can be dissolved. It can't dissolve in water. It's non-polar, so it can dissolve in oil. And so we dissolve C60 in oil, and then people take the oil with the C60. And it's as an antioxidant. They describe it up to 172 times that of vitamin C. Part of that is it can reset itself, unlike other antioxidants, and it's especially effective in the mitochondria.
Okay, so our group got familiar with this, found that you sell what we consider to be the highest quality version of C60. So you provided some for us and we've been taking it. My wife and I, we're 2 weeks into January. We started on the 1st, so we're 2 weeks, and I understand that's about how long it takes to, do I want to say saturate your system or derive its full effects?
Yeah, it's about, I've seen estimates of up to around 10 days. So yeah, you're in that full saturation zone. It stays in different organs at different rates. Somebody came up with about an average of 10 days, but no, it's a day here, a day there, who knows.
We thought it would be interesting to see what remote viewers would do when tasked with this. And it's a difficult tasking because remote viewers, 90% of the time, a target is going to be a location, an event where you go to a place with structures or people doing something happening. To task a molecular event inside of a body that could throw a viewer off. So I was wondering how that would go. And we got some interesting results. 3 of us did it. Edward Riordan, who had a remarkable session. I did it, although mine was not completely blind. Daz Smith did it, and a couple of others are working on it. But we want to play a little video right now. How would a remote viewer perceive the interaction of C60 inside of a human body? Let me explain how this occurred to me. So there's a bigger thing that like arrives, and these smaller things are surrounded by even smaller things, and the smaller things are when this arrives, they react, and they react. I don't want to say intelligently, like they have a consciousness, but it's like initially they're just kind of vibrating and just suspended. They're associated with these things. And when this comes, they're attracted to it, and they all become more agitated, more vibrating at a greater rate. And it just like all of a sudden, I don't want to say occurs to them, but they're like compelled to no longer be associated with these smaller things, but a desire to go to this. So this is like, we're scooping them up. They just want to be there. It's more comfortable for them to be in the orbit of this thing than attached to the smaller things. There's an attraction where little things swirl to this and swirl to this and stick to it in a shape or pattern. Okay, I had to put measurements and mark this. This is, I would say without a doubt, the most remarkable thing I've ever seen in remote viewing. The most beautiful thing, the most exquisite. It reminded me, if you can recall back to when the first time was you saw high-def TV, like a really beautiful picture on a really good high-def TV, times 100. This was the most exquisite colored. I saw it in a black background, and I saw strands, very thin strands of light. And this is the pattern. It's black background, and there are glowing, the most beautiful bluish, purplish, lavender strands of light that form. I think this is DNA, is what I was looking at. Three-dimensional with a twist, and in the middle of each one, I drew this orange, but it was more a white-yellow light, like a light. There's a light in the middle of each of them. And this gave me an idea, a sense of synesthesia.
Hi guys, hope you're well. Today we're going to go through some data I got for a target called AL66. Now I did this quick sketch that came into my mind, and I had these almost like cores, cores or something that radiated outwards, but it felt like they were overlapping. Lots of overlapping layers of these kind of circular, vibrating, moving, rotating kind of shapes. And I wrote the words here: moving, bumping shapes, radiating energy and light. So it felt like almost like these pinpoints of light that were radiating light outwards, radiating energy outwards, but they were all overlapping in some kind of layer. These are a bit strange, and it feels like there was this almost like a nucleus or core that then radiated energy and light outwards. But it also felt like each one of these cores felt like it was on some kind of spiral movement. And when you saw all of them together, although it looks slightly archaic, there seem to be hundreds of these all moving, all creating this geometric, beautiful shape. So there's the cores that just almost like radiate or push out energy. Then I did an advanced sketch of that, and I tried to sketch what I was kind of seeing in my mind, the picture I was seeing in my mind, with all these overlapping points of light or energy, these molecules. They're something like molecules or something, but I can see and feel this radiating energy or something's coming from these very small central nucleus cores. A note here I wrote: it's strange, but this feels like both an energy and an organic thing. So it felt like it was alive, but also felt like it was energy. There feels like some kind of control over this. And I wrote here underneath: guesses of sentient living energy or chi. It has that kind of feeling about it. It's made of complex layers, moving and expanding. And I wrote here as a note: it's as if they absorb and feed off the environment. They're very active, very busy, very energetic, buzzing and high, like an end product or part of a process going on. And I wrote here a note that this feels like it's a medical process. I tried to go really, really in depth into the nucleus of this thing, and this is a quick sketch of the nucleus, and it felt hot, dense energy spinning, which is fluid, bursting with energy, feels very agitated, very influenced, and it feels like there's a reaction going on.
And I went into another session and was tuning into molecule like this with these bonding agents that were very interesting to me. Broke into a very complex looking molecule like that. Complex looking molecule that as I was trying to comprehend it, it was like it locked in like a chain. Other particles are attracted to it. They go right for it. And are they absorbing as the particles are being drawn in? And then I drew a picture of that, where I have this molecule and it's spinning counterclockwise, like a vortex, and these other particles are zooming in. They're attracted to it. They're pulled right in. They're zipping in, pulling in. It's just like that molecule is absorbing in these photons, and these photons are being attracted in there. having them in the body, it was like the body was attracting light and absorbing light and photons. And the idea was that it made you, like, an effect on the body was like it makes you magnetic. I had this notion that this molecule would offer DNA relief and support. Like it takes stress off the DNA. Takes stress off the DNA and kind of like surrounds it and protects it. Like that. So that the DNA can unfold and relax. Like that. Even this notion of restructure. Positive effect on the DNA. Like little protectors here around it. Like that. Very, very interesting. Very interesting target.
All right, Ken, you've screened those videos. What was your impression as a scientist?
I was really amazed. Ed's remote viewing of it was just amazing. And he got a whole bunch of things that, unless you were an expert on it, you wouldn't even know that, but he hit them all, he got them all. And then he saw stuff that we weren't even aware of. So I was really, really impressed with his remote viewing session.
What are some of the things that he got right?
Oh, one of the things that C60 spins, and then especially a lot of the reactions that go along the chemical bonds, but he brought up a few other things that I hadn't seen before. So, yeah, I mean, he got the shape of the molecule right, he got its interactions, its chemical bonds, and things, and a few others that I mean, kind of the way the oxidative radicals are attracted to it.
Now, this brings me to that vision I had of what I believe was DNA. Is I had all of a sudden bilocation to this inky blackness where I saw the most beautiful strands of light that were very thin but glowing in the symmetry of the thing, and in that pattern, and in the middle was like a little sun. It was I tried to draw it as best I could in the session as we saw it, but it was just absolutely beautiful. If you could put that in a lava lamp and you could see what I saw, people would just, wow, stare at it. How would DNA play into C60? We're actually allowing DNA to repair our body?
Yeah, well, part of it is, well, first off, Ed, if you go back to Ed's video, which people had seen, he says how C60 provided protection and relief for the DNA. And part of the thing you saw, the DNA was dimmer and then it got brighter. Mm-hmm. And part of that is it might be demethylization. And what happens, I don't know if people have heard about epigenetics, but it's the cells can sometimes modify DNA. Let's say if the organism undergoes like a bunch of starvation events, it'll actually send methyl groups to the DNA, which kind of suppresses gene expression. It kind of slows it down because it's trying to adjust the next generation and maybe even itself to, let's say, for another starvation event. So a lot of times when there's toxins or other challenges, the cells will use epigenetics to kind of tone down certain genes. And we had thought that maybe we had some supporting evidence that maybe C60 demethylates. So a lot of that organic damage and other things that have happened to people over time, C60 goes in there and demethylates, helps some process by getting rid of the methyl groups, which are kind of suppressing DNA expression in certain things, mm-hmm. and so that the DNA can more fully express itself on what's possible. And part of that that's why people are growing every generation. The sons and daughters are larger than their parents are. Mm-hmm. That's that's kind of like an example of demethylization, because they had plenty of food when they were growing up. So that for having methylization on the genes that support growth are demethylated. The methyls go away so that the body can get bigger. It's just like a side effect of that. And so DNA may be in that, C60 may be in that way doing it to DNA. We aren't sure. It's just as anecdotal, but there is some support for it.
I've been taking a teaspoon a day in the morning with a smoothie. Is that an adequate dose? Can you go higher? Somebody told me a tablespoon.
Yes, that's actually, we have a lot of people, if they're working on a health condition or just want to get there, this is just anecdotal reports from the various customers. A lot of them are engineers, scientists, and doctors. And so they kind of adjust their dosages and then record the information, and then they can make a judgment. And we found about a tablespoon a day. That really starts to work on a lot of health conditions. That from people, average, let's say, 170-pound man was doing about a tablespoon a day. Obviously, if you're bigger or smaller, you might want to adjust, but that's what they found was really efficacious.
How can they reach you? How can they get the product?
They can reach us at c60purplepower.com. We have a website where you can buy C60 Purple Power, and you can also find us on Amazon.com. So it's c60purplepower.com is the website address to go to get C60.
One of our guys was very familiar with it and researched where to get the best, and that led him to you. And they provided it to everyone that's working with us, all the remote viewers and all the ancillary people. We like, here's a bottle, try it out. So we're going to stick with it. All right, Ken, thank you very much for your comments, and for everyone listening. I think it's good stuff.